Have you ever wondered if the food that you're eating is actually making you sick? And that's a wonderful question because they actually can be. Now, a lot of us know about food allergies, and what those are is like, if you remember that movie Hitch, and Hitch ate something, I don't even remember what it was, but he ate something and his whole lips and his face and everything blew up, and it was really, really funny. So when you see it in a movie, it's hysterical. But when it's actually something that's real, a real food allergy can be life-threatening. So, like little kids would eat peanuts or shellfish or something like that. It really can be an immediate reaction that is actually life-threatening. So we're not talking about those. We're actually talking about food sensitivities. And what is the difference between these? So with a food allergy, when you eat it, literally, boom, within seconds, sometimes less than, a minute or so, you have that reaction. That's an IgG reaction. Now, there are others. The other side of that would be what we call the food sensitivities. Those would be IgG reactions. So other than it being right away and reacting right away, it takes sometimes hours to a couple of days to kind of kick in. Now, I've talked about this before, but it's really, really important now when we're trying to have our immune system working at its best. And so what is that all about? What it means is that if your body is consistently being exposed to foods to which it's sensitive, like, and some of the more common ones are gluten and soy and corn, wheat, of course, all of those things. Let me kind of make this here. Okay, turn on notifications. And so things like all of those are more of a slow reaction. And so what we're talking about here are the reactions that can take an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 2 days. So how do you even tell the difference? So for instance, if you are sensitive to gluten, and that's the protein that's found in wheat, in rye, some other grains. If you're sensitive to gluten and you continue to eat gluten, as your body sees it over and over and over again, it actually starts to open, and I've talked about this before, it actually opens up the spaces in your gut. And when that happens, it actually, little pieces of food literally get into your bloodstream. And your immune system says, oh my goodness, something just came in here, and it starts to react to it. And so if it's reacting to the food that you're eating, say you're eating gluten or you're sensitive to corn or something, if you're eating that, then over and over and over again, your body's reacting to that. And guess what happens? It doesn't have enough energy or cells and things to actually work against the things that are dangerous to it, like COVID-19 at this particular point. That's why food sensitivities are so, so critical to know, number one, and also to manage, number two. So how do you know if or not you have a food sensitivity? The number one way to tell is actually the gold standard is with an elimination diet. And what that means is you literally take it out of your diet completely, cold turkey, 100% for at least a month. And then at the end of that month, you introduce it back and you see how your body responds. Now, you may think, okay, well, what would this response be? It can be anything from, say, gut disturbances like, diarrhea or abdominal pain. It can be joint pain. It can be rashes. It can be headaches. It can be anything. Any of these are responses wherever your body is reacting to it. And so what you're looking for is, if you have noticed that you've gotten better over the course of a month, however long you're doing the elimination, and then you put something back and then you respond to it with whatever that response is, then that's kind of letting you know this is what's going on. If you're not sure and you want to make sure like it's your absolute favorite thing to eat, then you can literally, do the elimination again and try it again. When you do those two things at least once or twice, then literally you should know one way or the other whether you are. So that's the gold standard. Now, some people don't want to do that. And so it is possible also to do a food sensitivity test. They are not necessarily as 100% sure as would be an elimination test, but they're faster, a lot easier if someone doesn't really want to go through all of the, it's not the easiest thing in the world to be able to take something out, put it back in, watch reactions and things of that sort. So those are the two options. And why would you start to develop a food sensitivity to a food that you've eaten for years, with no problem? For that very same reason that I just talked about. It's a food that comes into your system, and especially if it's something that you like. So if you've developed what we call leaky gut, remember that when the gaps in the mucosa of your gut lining start to move apart, and then you have little spaces that food can get into. When you develop that leaky gut, then what is it going to be seeing over and over and over again? It's going to see the foods that you like the best. So that's why you're more likely to develop a sensitivity to a food that you actually like, as opposed to one that you just have once in a while. So another question I get is, do we need to, not, I'm not going to go into too much more, but do you need to keep away from a particular food forever and ever and ever? Sometimes yes, but often no. And the answer is to actually heal your gut. Heal your gut first and then go from there. So if you have questions, feel free. And if you like this, kind of click down below. But if you have any questions and you'd like to know about your food sensitivities, if you do have them, give us a call. We'd love to have a free 15-minute call with you, just for you to kind of understand what's going on with you, and we can understand what's going on with you as well. And then we can go from there. So this is Dr. Susan Lavelle. It is 30 Days of Health and Hope. And today we were talking about food sensitivities and how they're really associated with your immune system. So take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.